episode for The Bad Batch was released, and not surprisingly, it wasn't great. It doesn't even get good until about 20 minutes from the end, and everything before that is a barely stomachable nightmare. Its opening scene is a retcon of the Kanan comics, so immediately it's off to a pretty bad start. And the fact that they brought back Kanan's voice actor from Rebels, instead of getting someone who actually sounds like the character would given his age in The Bad Batch, shows that Filoni is more preoccupied with fan service than common sense. The build-up to The Bad Batch's introduction is pure cringe made worse by the fact that they should have been shot down the minute they charged into the droid army. Instead, the droids just stand around and let themselves be destroyed. And these are the same droids that could take down Jedi so long as they had sufficient numbers. And now they can't take down some mutated clones? Seriously? Also, we're supposed to believe that Clone Force 99's genetic mutations were the reason that their inhibitor chips didn't work. Yet I fail to see how this makes any sense. Anyway, it ultimately didn't take very long to realize that the protagonists did not have enough charisma to be carrying an entire show. They're mostly just two-dimensional cardboard cutouts. Smart, dumb, less smart, prick. Stereotypical tough guy with a heart of gold, and Omega. I don't know, I just really don't have much to say about her. She's not that interesting. Also, this show, like TCW, surprise surprise, doesn't seem to know who its target audience is. It's too mature for kids and too kiddish for adults. But continuing on, after Order 66, the episode becomes mind-numbingly boring. We're forced to watch the main characters wandering around in a state of confusion for a good 10 minutes, with a few references to events from Revenge of the Sith thrown in there for good measure. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if at this point most people had just quit watching the show to go watch the prequel finale instead. But don't worry, it gets worse. They have a food fight. I am not even kidding. They have a food fight, and it is unbearably painful to watch. And one underlying theme that I noticed in this episode that I found very interesting was that despite the fact that TCW had painstakingly taken the time to show us that each clone is his own person, The Bad Batch evidently wants us to think of all clones outside of Omega and Clone Force 99 as one and the same. Great consistency from Filoni as always. As I mentioned earlier, the episode doesn't get good until about the 45-minute marker, when the Bad Batch bumps into Saw and is given an ultimatum. Fight for the Empire or join the Rebels. They end up doing neither and decide to go back and rescue Omega, but inevitably they're captured, which leads to a very weird exchange between Crosshair and Omega, where Omega tells him it's not his fault. And it is very unclear about what she is referring to. Not to mention very problematic, because I am pretty darn sure that Crosshair trying to kill Caleb and ratting out his own team is very much his fault. Disney really seems to have a thing nowadays for exonerating straight up bad people. Anyway, Crosshair ends up going full-on bad guy, which no surprise there, though admittedly seeing him and Hunter facing off is pretty cool. Until Omega pulls a blaster and miraculously develops incredible accuracy despite never having used a weapon and being a clone! Ultimately, despite its good moments, this episode was a wreck. And knowing Filoni, it'll only be downhill from here. But let me know in the comments what you thought, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the future content on this channel. I'm your Alibi, and I will see you next time.